Hey y'all, it's Ker-Leen. Thank you so much for tuning back into Lemomlife. In today's video, I wanted to share with you items from my recent homeschool hauls and then some honorable mentions. These are things that have made homeschooling a little bit easier as we kind of transition into a family of 5. I now am the mom of 3, and so homeschooling has looked a little bit different. Just to give you guys an update, it's definitely been a bit more challenging for sure. For one, I am nursing my 5-month-old who nurses exclusively. I have introduced some oatmeal, but I'm waiting until 6 months to really just go for it. But primarily he is breastfed, so I am needed by him around the clock. Thankfully, his dad has been a huge help. He's very present with the kids, always helps out. And so that has helped me a great deal. The other thing is that my kids just turned 3 and 5, and they both have really different learning styles and needs. And so I'll get into that in a little bit, but I've had to cater to their separate learning needs. And so that has made things a little bit different as well. So for the most part, I've been trying to be gracious to myself, taking things one day at a time. Every day does not look the same. We don't always stick to our routine, and that's okay with me for right now. It's completely fine. I had to really accept things for what they are and the way that they are, and in accepting them, I was able to be productive even though things are a little bit different, instead of kind of wallowing in the fact that things are different and not being as productive. So it does not look like what I imagined it would look like. I imagined we would be following our routine very closely even after the baby was here. Probably not the most realistic goal. You know, I also have my moments, but even in having my moments, I'm their teacher and I still have to teach them. I've been navigating that, you know, just kind of having a new baby and making sure that they get what they need every single day. And so we have just been going with the flow, for lack of a better term, in that I'm not stressing myself out. I'm taking things as they come and making sure that the kids learn. That's the most important thing. The first item I wanted to share, I'm not exactly sure what these characters stand for, but I did purchase this from Amazon, and basically what this is it's a manipulative, and I purchased this for my daughter. My daughter is a very, very hands-on learner. She's definitely a kinesthetic learner. She loves getting involved, doing things, and that's how she learns best. She also loves learning through song, so she's a little bit musical in that sense. She will pick things up and retain things if they are wrapped up in song form. So in noticing those things about her, I decided to go and find some manipulatives for her. And I've also been trying to sing to her a little bit more when I teach her things, and trying to give her little rhymes and patterns that she can hold on to and remember. And that's the beautiful thing about homeschooling, is that I can cater my child's education to their specific needs and learning style. And no child is one learning style. Your child may have 2 or 3 different ways that they respond to, but there's always going to be something that's a little bit more predominant, a little bit more pronounced, primary. So for my daughter, she's a kinesthetic learner. So with this first activity here, basically you grab a card from this side, and it's double-sided, so I do feel like you get your money's worth because there are a good amount of cards in here. These blocks right here have letters on every side. They use these blocks to form words at the bottom here in these 4 slots. So they take a block, and basically what I do is I put a card right here in this tiny little slot. You kind of have to be careful with it because it kind of falls through if you only have one card here. But that says hat. So what she'll do is she will find the blocks and place them in the order that they appear on the card. My goal for this activity is obviously to give her something to hold on to and to practice letter recognition. She's now 3, and my son Elin was learning CVC words at this point in time. Like, he could read them, and every child's journey is different, so I am keeping that in mind. But I also like to challenge my kids, and so because you know, Elin was doing certain things at a certain time, she is not quite there yet. So I wanted to get her some activities and really focus on those things with her as well, giving her the opportunity to actually learn those things. And I'm really big on like exposure. Like the more you expose your child to something, the higher your chances of success and higher their chances of success at learning that particular thing are. So it's all about exposure. I know in school there's like set things that you have to learn, and growing up I wish I would have been challenged a little bit more, because I think that academically I would be a lot farther. And I've seen that in my son. I've introduced things to him that I thought he would never get at that point in time because he was just too young, and he picked them up like that. Every child is different, but the main thing I want to focus on is exposing them, giving them a chance to learn something. So I said all that to say this is to help my daughter learning the sounds and recognizing that sounds can be strung together to form words. That is my main objective for her with this activity. Later on down the line, when she's more advanced, and I've done this with my son, I'll just show the picture, then I'll place the card in here where they can't see the letters. They'll form the word, and then I will show them the card and the word, and they can see if they are right or wrong. So love this activity. I think it is well worth the money. You do get a lot of cards. Let me see if I can take some of them out. This is just like half of them. The next manipulative I purchased for Giselle is this numbers puzzle. And I love this because I can use it for both kids. I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and this is appropriate for both ages. So with her, when we started, she needed a lot of guidance, and really that was only like a couple of days where she really needed to really be walked through how to do it. But then after that, she can do this entire thing by herself now. What I have been working with her on is counting. And the reason why I want to practice counting with her is because I'm trying to get her to understand something called cardinality. And cardinality is basically counting items in a set, and when you're done counting, you stop, and that number represents that set, so the amount of things in that set. For example, if there are 3 blocks, for her to say 1, 2, 3, stop, and recognize that there are 3 blocks here. Right now she can count, but she kind of counts endlessly without a purpose. And cardinality is when you count with a purpose. Basically, you start somewhere and you stop somewhere, and you know when to stop. So that's my goal with this activity, is to give her something interesting that she can touch, but help her to practice counting 1 through 20. And she's been doing really great with this. She's been counting. We count together a lot. And one of the things I noticed she gets tripped up on is the difference between 2 and 12 and 20, or 3 and 13. I've been kind of like going through little drills with her to give her techniques and strategies on how to recognize the difference, and also helping her learn cardinality, helping her know when to start and when to stop. So this is really great. My son loves to form numbers. So like he'll put 2 numbers together, for example, these 2 numbers, and say 78. Like he loves doing that. And then another thing is, you'll notice at the bottom, there's a plus, a minus, and an equal sign. And so one of the things I do with him is I form math problems, and then he has to find the answer. And so this is great for doing all of those things. One tip is, if you're just starting out with your child, what you can do is you can go row by row. So what I mean by that is you empty out 1 row at a time, and so they only have, for example, 6 options at a time. They have to find where each number goes, but they only have to worry about 6 at a time instead of doing the entire thing all at once. So that's just another strategy so that you can get started and your child can stay encouraged and not be overwhelmed when you start out with this for the very first time. So this next tool I've shown you guys in a couple of different videos. I will link those here. It is our My Daily Calendar. This is a Melissa and Doug calendar. We use this all the time. Basically, you have magnets that represent months, days of the week, feelings, holidays, activities, the weather, the temperature, the month, the season. So you have all of those magnets here. In the top half of this board is where you use those magnets to update, and it's very interactive. It keeps your kids busy. My son really enjoys doing this. My daughter has shown lots of interest, and so I'm going to start using this with her a little bit more now, but my son really loves this. It keeps them busy and it tackles so many different things. So critical thinking is one of them. Observation is another, because they have to observe certain things. They have to keep track of what day of the week it is, because they know that tomorrow they're going to have to update it. They're going to have to observe the weather, observe the temperature. Their observation skills are really honed in on with this activity. Another thing is learning the seasons, practicing the days of the week, practicing the date, so the actual number, date, and the year. So this is really, really awesome. Now, I know a lot of homeschool moms can make this, and I've seen a lot of awesome DIY boards like this, but if you're not really DIY inclined, or you don't have the time, like I don't have the time, this is a really great resource, and it didn't cost that much. I think it was between $17 to $20, and I can use it for all of my children when the time comes. All right, so I just have a few more things to share, and these are more catered to my son. Oh, these are something else that I use for both kids. This is a set of 6 puzzles. And what I like to do with these puzzles is use them when the kids are bored, or as I'm working with one child, I'll give the other child a puzzle to do. And it's just 6 different animals. It's really good puzzle practice because it's only 9 pieces, which will help them for more intricate puzzles later on down the line. Something to give them to do when they're bored. This is also great when you're trying to do less screen time. You can use these little puzzles. And another thing my kids love to do is they love to compete. So one of the things I'm going to start doing with these puzzles is giving it to each of them and then saying, let's see who can finish their puzzle first. The next thing I wanted to share is a book that we've been reading for a while. This is not a new purchase, but I realized I never shared this book. I shared it on my Instagram. If you're not following me, go follow me. I have 2 accounts. I will list them here. But this is the book right here. This book is called Brown Boy, What Can You Be? And the author, Amisha Gabrielle Arthur, she's a Black author, and this book is really adorable. My son and daughter love this book. So what I do is when I read it to them, I say, brown boy, brown girl, what can you be? And basically inside of the book has different professions. I think this is a really great introduction to what all different professions are out there, kind of helping your child conceptualize purpose, education, and different professions, and doing it in a more open-minded way, because I love how they have really different types of professions, not just your doctor or nurse or firefighter. For example, they have a pilot or a horticulturist, a scientist who studies bees. My kids really love this page right here. An orator. So really outside of the box professions, a meteorologist, an actuary, an oceanographer. So lots of really out of the box professions, not just your typical. And this one's really relevant, a programmer. I love this book because it helps them think outside of the box, but it's also helping them build self-confidence and love themselves, because their image is in book form, and subconsciously this does wonders to self-esteem. So I've been really big on finding books that have representation, have boys and girls on the cover and in the stories that look like them. So this is an awesome book. I will link it down below. Support this author. If you're looking for Black businesses and people to support, definitely support this author, because this book is awesome. The next book I got for my son recently is this big first grade workbook. He just turned 5, so he is, according to what I was reading on my state's website, he will be able to start school next year. But if we wanted to start him early, we could start him now. We could put him in kindergarten now. Obviously, I'm homeschooling, so we're not doing that, but I do have to send a letter of intent to homeschool, and so that's what we're going to be doing really soon here. But he's kindergarten age. However, as you can see, this is a first grade book. And one of the things that I've been doing with my kids, going back to when I was talking about exposure, is I've been exposing them to the next step. So something a little bit more advanced, and seeing how they fare with more advanced topics. And my son has done really well, and we've kind of been doing this from the beginning with him, and I've found lots of success with that. So all of the stuff I buy now is going to be first grade stuff, and just expose him to it, walk him through it, let him do it, and see how it goes, see what happens. So this is a really, really awesome book. I love the variety of subjects inside of this book. This is an activity we did the other day where he had to read riddles, and there's a word box at the top, and he reads the riddle and he has to find out what the answer is. He did all of these. He does really well with this book. I'm really surprised at how well he's doing. Something else we did the other day is we looked for D words, and he had to do this puzzle, and I kind of helped him out just a little bit, but for the most part he was able to spot many of the words in the puzzle, and he can read them, he circles them. Something else that we've done in this book that helps with critical thinking is we've done things where he had to find what's similar or what's different. So there are two frogs on this page that look exactly the same, and he had to figure out where the two frogs are. And so stuff like that is really great for critical thinking, observation skills, all that good stuff. This is kind of a similar activity where he had to look for the differences in the two scarecrows. We will do some math pages every single day. This is an example of something we did the other day, and I kind of added on to this because he's already been exposed to greater than or less than. So basically he had to find the number that's greatest. So we started out by him counting and then circling the number that's bigger. And then after he was done with everything on this page, I then added this directive. So I asked him to put the greater than sign or less than sign. The way that I taught that is alligator hands, and the alligator always eats the bigger number. So he had to put the alligator's mouth going towards the bigger number. That was just something I added onto that activity. This is what the subtraction pages look like. Basically, they give you a series of pictures, and there's a line that separates one side from the other side. As you can see, the pages are so colorful. Everything just kind of pops out. He really enjoys this, and it's an easy way for me to make sure we stay on track with what he needs to learn while not necessarily having a formal curriculum right now. The next honorable mention is this Wipe Clean book by Pretty Learning. This is their everyday math book, and I started using this a little while ago, and I brought it back out recently, and I absolutely love this book. Just to give you an example, it has really simple and quick activities that introduce your child to certain subjects, and it kind of whets their appetite for certain concepts. So this one is a little fractions practice. It starts with the half. You see how it has the child shading halves. Then it goes to a quarter, and it has your child shading quarter. This is something we've worked on already, and I actually erased the pages, and we're going to be working on this again this week to kind of refresh his memory. But I just love this book. It is so colorful. The activities are short and sweet, which is what I like. This is another example right here. You have matching 3D shapes, and so they have the actual 3D objects and then real life objects, and they have to kind of match them. And then on this side, you circle whether the object is 2D or 3D. We just did this activity the other day. This one called for them to guess heavy or light. So they had to estimate what they thought was the lightest up here and the heaviest down here. And then this one here allowed us to use objects from around the house, which they really enjoyed. And we've just started doing experiments, so they love getting involved in that way. Stuff like that is awesome. It keeps them engaged, it keeps them interested, it makes learning fun and teaching fun, because I just love to see like the smiles on their faces and how excited they get. It's super fulfilling, and these books have never failed us. I've been using these books for a while now. My daughter is now using the older ones that my son was using. So I love these, they're awesome. I will link this one down below. The last thing I wanted to bring up is this set of preschool diplomas. I only needed one, but they only came in sets. This has, I think, 30 diplomas, and you can stick them into a printer and type the child's name on it, or you can write it. But my son technically has graduated preschool, so we're gonna present him with his preschool diploma and just kind of have him get dressed up and take pictures and make a thing of it, because it's a really huge accomplishment. It's a very special time, and I plan on doing that for every marker in his education. Even though we're homeschooling, I can still do these types of things. And I just thought about it, like, wait a minute, he's technically out of preschool. So yeah, I picked up some preschool diplomas, and I'm just gonna store the rest of them for my other kids when the time comes. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hoped it helped you. And if you saw anything that interests you, I will link it down below. So don't forget to check out the description box. Leave me your suggestions, any tools that you think I would find useful right now, as my kids are now 3 and 5. Please share them down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.